Hi guys, my name is John, and I just recently finished installing my Fitech Go EFI system, and I thought I would share a few of my experiences associated with the install with you guys. First of all, my background is not a mechanic by any means. I come from a long line of shade tree mechanics, but that gene did not enter into my body at all, that's for sure. I can change brakes, I can change my oil, I can change starters and whatnot. But as far as internals of an engine, that's not me. Especially a carburetor. You talk about tuning a carburetor, and you're talking Greek to me because I don't know anything about it. I do have friends though, which really helps. Anyway, that's my background. The car is a 56 Chevrolet. Show it to you. 56 Chevrolet, has a 383 stroker motor in it, Tremac 5-speed, 9-inch Ford, about 425 horsepower. So I went with the Go EFI 600. Anyway, the unit was on back order for a while. However, the command center was not. So I was able to, here's the command center, I was able to install it ahead of time before the throttle body arrived, and that was kind of nice that I was able to get that out of the way. So here's the command center here. Here you'll see is a vent line, and this is the high pressure fuel line that goes to the throttle body. And then this line over here is the line that comes up from my mechanical fuel pump down there. So I didn't have to change my mechanical fuel pump, and I did not have to change my fuel line. All I had to do was install this command center. Now, it looks like I have plenty of room in this engine compartment for the command center, in which I do, but I guarantee you everybody's going to have their own little issues. My issue was that I have a large radiator that prevented me from putting it in, other places. I had to have it way off to the side, on either side. Of course, it makes more sense to put it over here on the same side as the fuel pump. So that's why I installed it. It comes with brackets to install it. Now, what I had to do is put spacers under the brackets. I don't know if I can show you that or not. I had to put spacers under the brackets because I had this lip under here, and I had to have the command center come out against, so it's frees this lip. If I had it too low to go under the lip, well, that wouldn't be good because I need to have all this, I need access to all this stuff, so I couldn't have it hidden under the lip. And since I had that much space, I had to have that much spacers to bring it all out. I also didn't want to have it mounted over my my water hose down at the bottom. In case I blew a hose, I wouldn't want to have this command center on top of it where I couldn't reach it. So that was kind of an issue right there, experience. I will tell you that these are the Russell hoses that come with the unit, and the fittings come with the unit. And man, oh man, these things are so hard to get on. I put white grease on the fittings, and I heated up the rubber with a heat gun or hot boiling water, and I pushed and pushed and pulled and pulled, and I even had a friend help me do it, and we never did get all of them. In fact, we didn't get any of them pushed up all the way to where they're supposed to be. But I feel confident that thing's not going to go anywhere because, man, that was a bitch. But I do have them, pretty secure. Now this line here, like I said, is a vent line. It's only a 1/4 inch, just regular vent hose, and then I have the clamp here for it. So this was fairly easy as far as connecting to here. Now, their instructions are that this vent line has to go all the way back to the back of the car and into the tank or into the filler neck for the gas. So that presented some problems for me. As you can see, I have my the line going here, and I have some clamps holding it in place. And then it goes down. You probably can't see it because it's too dark. I have it going down under the car and along the frame rail, and then across the back of the where the tank is. It came across the back and up here to the filler. Now you can't see it. You can't see it, but it's down in there. The problem I had was I had to make sure I had the line going into the filler neck, but I was worried about gas going into the line. If I fill up my gas tank and I filled it up higher than the line or higher than the fitting, then the gas would go into the hose, and I did not want to do that. So what I had to do, first of all, I had to disconnect my filler tube that goes into the tank, and that wasn't easy. I don't think it had been disconnected for probably since the car was made. So I had to do that, and I could not get the filler tube to come out from the bottom, so I had to pull it out from here. And I pulled on this and to pull the filler tube out, and it wouldn't come all the way out because on the other end there's a flared fitting, a flared end that goes up against the tank and has an O-ring to prevent leaks, so that flare would not come out through here. So I had my filler tube sticking out here, and I had no other choice. But while it was sticking out, then I drilled the hole and installed a fitting for the hose. Now it still could have prevented a problem with gas going into it. So what I had to do, if you can just kind of imagine that my tank filler comes down like this and then over to the tank, the hose comes up and inserts maybe about halfway up, about around here. And it was lower than this opening here. So what I had to do is I had to run the line, the vent line, the rubber. It was attached coming down like this, and I had it facing up and then curved back down. I have it facing up high enough so that it's higher than this filler. That way no gas will go into it. But in order to make it stay, when it came back down, I zip tied it to the filler neck itself. So I've got a big loop in here. Okay? And then it just, it just comes from the front all the way here, goes to the loop, and then inside to the filler. So that presented a problem. Anyway, I got that all situated, and then finally the Fitech unit came in the mail. I got it from Summit, by the way. Now there's a few things that you need to think about, that you need to be aware of what happened to me, that I don't know if it's happened to anybody else. I do not have a return line, so right here is a plug that I had to install. It came in the kit, and I had to install it, and there is a washer, a soft metal washer that goes on here first. Now, the problem is that washer, the outside diameter isn't very big, and the inside diameter doesn't fit the bolt perfectly. There's a lot of play there. So if you have it off-centered and you tighten that thing down, there's a good chance you might have a little pinhole leak, and that's what happened to me. The first time we turned it on, fuel started spewing out the back of that thing. We couldn't figure out why it was doing that. So we tightened it, and that didn't help. We loosened it, put it back on, that didn't help. And we noticed that the washer itself was soft. It had some marks in it, so we figured out that it had to have been off-centered. Otherwise, it wouldn't have had any marks on it from the edge of the bolt head. So what we ended up doing was we put it back in, but this time we washed it with a mirror, and we washed it very carefully to make sure it was totally centered on that nut. And then we tightened it down, and then when we turned the key, there was no leaks. So we were good. Okay? So if you get one of these, you might want to watch out for that. I haven't heard of anybody else having that problem, so maybe it was just me. I don't know. Another thing is this post here for the air cleaner is a totally different size than most carburetors. And that was a problem because I wanted to put my air cleaner on it, and you know, first of all, I needed this spacer, because the air cleaner comes down a little bit, and it would have hit this, and it would have hit back over here. So I had the spacer raising up my air cleaner. That's no big deal. But the big deal was the fact that this was a different size, and I could use my air cleaner, but I couldn't use my fancy wing nut that I like to use. It's a Chevy emblem wing nut. I couldn't use it. I'm not very happy about that, but I'm going to see if I can search for one. But you need to watch out for that too, because you know, that was a surprise to me that all of a sudden, I don't know why Fitech would have a different size stud going into their throttle body than a normal carburetor does. That makes no sense to me.